We've been told our entire lives that the perpetual motion machine is impossible. Endless energy just simply doesn't exist. But is that really true? In reality, a technology extremely close to a perpetual motion engine has already been invented. This isn't science fiction, this is a real technology, and it's called SMR, Small Modular Reactor. Let's explore this breakthrough and how it can change the energy industry of the future. There is already a reactor today that can run for years without stopping, uses almost no fuel, produces zero CO2, and fits inside a small shipping container. You can install it in any city, in a desert, on a ship in the middle of the ocean, or on another planet, even in your own backyard. Right now, we're standing at the threshold of the quietest yet most dramatic energy revolution in human history. This is Energy Brainer. Here, we explore the most fascinating technologies of the future. Okay, let's not drag this out. I'll tell you right away what we're talking about. What are the small modular reactors, and how can you build an almost infinite energy source literally out of Lego-like blocks? An SMR is a relatively small nuclear reactor, typically producing no more than 300 megawatts of power. Not much. Large nuclear power plants generate 1000 megawatts or more, but that's why SMRs are called small. Plus, the key components of these reactors are built as modules, which are later assembled into a complete system. In other words, an SMR is a scaled-down version of a traditional nuclear power plant. The trick is that these reactors can be mass-produced, transported inside standard containers, quickly assembled, and launched right on site, anywhere in the world with minimum site preparation. It's basically like Lego. You put the blocks together and get a full-scale power plant. In the future, these stations will likely become humanity's primary energy source. A single SMR module has relatively modest power output, but a power plant can use multiple modules at once if needed. The result is a flexible, scalable energy system. Today, several types of modular reactors are being developed around the world. Some are simply downsized versions of existing large reactors, while others are entirely new and unique designs. There are SMRs that use thermal neutrons, fast neutron designs, and molten salt systems. The technologies differ, but they all share the same key principles: compact size and modularity. And the first prototypes are already operating. For example, in China, a high-temperature gas-cooled reactor, the HTRPM, with a capacity of 210 megawatts, was connected to the grid in 2021. So this is not a concept anymore, it's already a working technology. Let's break down how such reactor works and why it has the potential to become a near-infinite source of energy. Let's start with the basics. How does a nuclear reactor work? At its core, a nuclear reactor is just a steam engine, except instead of burning coal or natural gas, the heat comes from splitting atoms of heavy elements. Everything begins inside what is known as reactor core. This is where the uranium fuel rods are located, the heart of the system. The uranium atoms split, releasing a tremendous amount of heat. In modern reactors, temperature can reach from 1000 to 2000 Celsius. Not exactly a place you want to visit. Okay, so what happens next? This heat warms up the coolant, usually just water. The hot water circulates through the core, absorbs the heat, and turns into superheat steam. Then the heat moves to a second loop. Here, water is boiled again, but this time it's perfectly clean, ultra-pure water. It turns into steam, which spins a turbine connected to a generator. And now, generator produces electricity. The energy locked inside uranium atoms turns into electric power eventually. After doing its job, the steam cools down, condensates back into water, and the cycle starts all over again. That's roughly how every modern nuclear power plant works. The thing is, SMRs are built in the same way as large reactors, just smaller. And yes, there are differences. For example, some advanced SMRs use non-standard fuel like molten salts or specially designed fuel pellets. But the core idea is the same. Uranium fission hits the coolant and the magic happens. Okay, so an SMR is basically a downsized nuclear generator. Sounds cool. But what about the most important question in nuclear power? How do you keep this thing safe? Because instead of tiny generator, you don't want a tiny ticking bomb. Good news, safety is actually the strong side here, and for that we can thank the laws of physics. SMRs are designed with passive safety in mind. If something goes wrong, the system naturally shifts towards a safe state, without human intervention and without external power. In other words, the reactor stabilizes itself. For example, many SMRs rely on natural circulation for cooling. It means that even if the power goes out completely, emergency cooling continues thanks to gravity and basic physics. The fuel and moderator is placed with safety first. When the temperature rises, the reaction automatically slows down, preventing runaway reactions. So the safety system is literally built into the laws of nature, and that's genuinely impressive. This makes SMRs safer than many large nuclear plants. No sleepy engineer on a night shift is going to trigger a major disaster, and the very structure of these systems makes them more resistant to accidents. In a traditional large nuclear plant, the reactor core, steam generators, pumps, and pressure compensators are all separate units connected by pipelines. If something goes wrong, steam or radioactive water can possibly escape through those lines. In many SMRs, everything is integrated inside a single sealed vessel. For example, the NuScale reactor model is one compact unit that contains the reactor core, steam generators, and pressure compensator, all inside one container. Okay, so what does that give us? Simple. No long pipes, fewer chances for leaks. Plus, the reactor vessel is usually placed inside an underground protective capsule or a water pool. Being underground adds another layer of safety, shielding the reactor from external threats and reducing the potential radiation impact zone. And simply due to the smaller scale, the SMR contain far less radioactive material, which further reduces the potential consequences of any incident. So overall, SMRs are significantly safer than traditional nuclear power plants. In fact, SMRs could eventually replace traditional nuclear power plants entirely. Don't believe it? Let's go through the advantages. Safety, we've already covered that. Second, flexibility and scalability. You can start with a single SMR model and then add more as demand grows, all on the same site. And importantly, SMRs can be deployed in remote or hard-to-reach regions where delivering massive components for a traditional nuclear plant would be just impossible. Another big advantage is cost and construction speed. Traditional large nuclear plants are known for being expensive and slow to build. SMRs offer a completely different economic model thanks to modularity. The entry barrier is lower, which makes investors, cities, and even private companies seriously consider small-scale nuclear power. SMRs are far more environmentally friendly. Just like conventional nuclear plants, small reactors don't burn fuel, meaning they don't emit CO2 during operation. That's a huge benefit in the fight against climate change. One more thing, they simply take up less space. The footprint of an SMR site is dramatically smaller than one for a traditional nuclear power plant. On top of that, some advanced designs promise higher fuel burnup, which could theoretically reduce the amount of high-level waste per unit of energy produced. And again, this is not a concept, it's a working technology. These stations are being built right now. So what are the smallest nuclear power plants in the world? What will power the vehicles of the future? Is Rolls-Royce really building a nuclear replacement for car engines? Let's break it down. Here are the top 5 existing small modular reactors. First, X-Energy XE100 in the United States, a high-temperature gas-cooled reactor. Thanks to its unique design, it requires several times fewer personnel to operate compared to traditional nuclear plant. It uses TRISO fuel, short for tri-structural isotropic, one of the most innovative and advanced nuclear fuel technologies in the world. Second, HTRPM in China, a high-temperature gas-cooled reactor that uses fuel in a graphite spheres, each about the size of a candy. Third, NuScale Voyager, a water-cooled reactor housed in a cylinder the height of 5-story building. Each model produces 77 megawatts and up to 12 can be installed side by side. Approved in 2025, it uses natural circulation for cooling, one of the most promising SMR projects in the world. 4. BWRX-300, a simplified 300 megawatt boiling water reactor with no extra pumps or unnecessary systems, planned to be completed in 2029. And the most unexpected and arguably coolest player in the market, Rolls-Royce SMR, a 470 megawatt pressurized water reactor, factory built, quite literally like a car. And yes, that's Rolls-Royce. They're no longer just making luxury cars, they're building nuclear plants. In the future, machines like these will replace traditional nuclear stations. Let's wrap it up. Smaller, smarter, and safer. Thanks to compact size, rapid deployment, and extreme reliability, they're set to become one of the most important energy technologies of our century, and they will give humanity an almost limitless supply of clean energy. Alright, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. This is Energy Brainer signing off. Stay smart, stay nuclear.